The dragon Empress, whose real name was Liara Ven, sat quietly in her large sky-windowed chamber high above the metal city of Helion. The city was full of glowing towers and flying transport ships, but on this day, everything felt far away from her. She sat in her wheelchair near the window, looking at the floating lights outside. It was her birthday, but no one was there to celebrate with her. She had power, status, and a palace made of shining white alloy. But she had lost something more important: her freedom to walk and fly like the dragon-blooded rulers before her. A deep sickness had taken her strength 2 years ago, and since then she moved only with the help of her chair. The people still loved her, but she felt she had nothing left to give. So she chose to stay alone, hidden from the world. A soft digital voice in the palace system wished her a happy birthday. She only closed her eyes. There were no candles, no laughter, no friends. Even the palace staff kept their distance unless she called them. She sometimes wondered if they thought she preferred the silence. In truth, she felt small inside it. She touched the thin metal ring on her finger, an old symbol of her family line. It reminded her of the past, when she used to fly with her guards, when she used to walk without thinking, when she believed life would always be bright. Now the room felt too quiet, like the world had forgotten her special day. Outside the chamber, a soft alarm blinked on a small maintenance screen. A supply shuttle had landed roughly near the palace gates, and one of the old service elevators had jammed again. It was not serious, but someone needed to fix it. The palace staff sent a request to the city repair network. Someone accepted the request within seconds. His name was Rowan Hale, a single dad and a simple mechanic who worked in the lower districts. He was used to repairing things that were old, broken, or ignored, much like the elevator he was now called to fix. He brought his small tool case, wiped the oil from his hands, and boarded a palace shuttle. He did not know he would meet the Empress. He did not even expect to see anyone important. He only knew his daughter had given him her last drawing that morning and told him, "Don't forget to smile today, Dad." So he tried when he stepped inside the palace halls. He felt strange. Everything was clean, bright, and silent. Too silent. His footsteps echoed softly as he walked a guard leading him. The guard said very little, only pointed toward the old elevator and left him alone. Rowan got to work. He checked wires, gears, and the control panel. While he worked, he hummed a soft tune his daughter liked. It traveled lightly through the quiet hallway. He fixed the jam and was about to leave, but something made him pause. He noticed a soft sound above him, like someone sighing. He looked up toward the large balcony stairs. He wasn't sure if someone was there. He was not the kind of man to walk where he shouldn't, but something inside him whispered that someone might need help. He did not go up the stairs, but he walked a little closer and spoke gently into the open air. "Hello? Is someone there?" Liara heard the voice. She had not heard a new voice in days. She moved her wheelchair a little closer to the balcony rail and looked down. She saw a man in simple work clothes, holding a tool case, looking up with kind but uncertain eyes. Rowan stared for a second, surprised to see her. He knew who she was. Everyone in Helion did. But she looked different from the images he had seen. Smaller, quieter, more human. He bowed awkwardly. "I'm sorry if I disturb you. I was just fixing the elevator." Liara watched him. He did not look afraid or distant, just normal. She felt something shift inside her chest. She spoke softly. "You did not disturb me." Rowan hesitated, then looked around the empty hall. "It feels too quiet here," he said before he could stop himself. Like the place forgot its people. Liara almost smiled, a small, fragile smile. "It is my birthday today," she said. "The silence is my guest." Rowan blinked. His daughter always told him no one deserved a lonely birthday. He took a breath and said gently, "You shouldn't be alone today." The words surprised even him, but they came from a heart. Liara felt something warm spread through her, like a spark she had not felt in a long time. She knew he was just a mechanic, just a stranger, but his words felt more real than any speech she had heard in months. For the first time that day, she looked away from the window and towards someone who had chosen to see her, not the Empress, not the symbol, but the person, and the silence around her finally began to break. Rowan stood at the bottom of the balcony, unsure if he had said something too bold. He was only a mechanic. The Empress was the most important person in all of Helion. But when he looked at her, quiet, lonely, sitting in her wheelchair, he did not see a ruler. He saw someone spending her birthday alone, and he could not ignore that. Liara watched him with calm eyes. There was no anger in her face, only surprise. She was used to people speaking carefully around her, choosing each word with fear. But Rowan's words had no fear. They were honest and simple. Something inside her felt lighter because of that. He waited for her reply, almost ready to apologize again. But she spoke first, her voice soft and gentle. "Why did you say that?" she asked. Rowan cleared his throat. "Because it's true. No one should be alone on their birthday, not even an empress." Liara did not know how to answer. The palace halls had felt cold all morning. No one had tried to visit her. No one dared to, she thought. And now a man she had never met spoke to her like she was simply a person who deserved company. The thought felt strange but warm. She moved her wheelchair closer to the balcony edge and looked down at him fully. "What is your name?" she asked. "Rowan Hale," he replied. "I'm a repair mechanic from level 6. I came to fix the old elevator." She nodded slowly. "Thank you for your work." Rowan gave a small smile. "You're welcome. It wasn't much." Liara watched him for a moment. His clothes were simple, with small oil stains on the sleeves. His boots looked old but clean. He seemed like someone who worked hard every day, someone who tried to make things run smoothly even when the rest of the city ignored the broken parts. She thought of something she had not asked anyone in a long time. "Do you have family, Rowan?" He nodded. "Yes. My daughter, Lena. She's 8. She draws things for me every morning." Liara felt a gentle tug in her heart. She remembered children from years ago, laughing in the palace gardens, running under the golden trees. She missed that sound. But ever since she became sick and lost her strength, those gardens had been quiet. Rowan looked up at her again. "If you want, I can stay for a few minutes. Only if you feel okay with it. Just so you're not alone." It was a simple offer, but it made Liara feel something she had forgotten. Choice. She could choose to accept kindness. She could choose company. She nodded once. "Yes, I would like that." Rowan relaxed, relieved. He walked slowly up the wide stairs, so he wouldn't seem too fast or too intrusive. When he reached her level, he stayed a respectful distance away, but close enough to talk. He placed his tool case on the floor beside him and rubbed his hands together, unsure what to do next. Liara noticed his awkwardness, and the corner of her mouth lifted slightly. "You may sit," she said, pointing to a soft seat near her. "You don't have to stand the whole time." He sat grateful. "Thank you." The palace windows glowed with soft gold light as afternoon moved across the sky. The silence was no longer heavy. Now it felt peaceful. Rowan looked around the large room. "It's beautiful here," he said, "but also very quiet." Liara understood what he meant. "Yes," she said, "too quiet sometimes. People treat me with care, but they also stay far away. I do not know why I let it continue." Rowan nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes people think they're helping by staying away, but they don't realize that being alone can hurt more than anything." His words felt true to her. She looked at him carefully. "You speak like someone who has felt that." He gave a soft breath of a laugh. "A little. After my wife passed, the house felt empty. People tried to give me space, but sometimes I didn't want space. I wanted someone to talk to, someone who didn't treat me like I was broken." Liara felt her chest tighten. "I understand that." They fell into quiet, but it was a warm quiet this time, the kind that did not press down on the heart. After a moment, Rowan looked at her again. "What would you like to do on your birthday? If you could choose anything, what would it be?" Liara blinked. No one had asked her that in years. Not since she became too weak to join celebrations or travel freely. "I do not know," she said honestly. "I forgot what birthdays used to feel like." Rowan smiled gently. "Then maybe we start small. We could talk. Or I can tell you stories about Lena. Or I can listen to anything you want to share." Liara felt her eyes soften. "I think I would like to hear about your daughter." Rowan's face brightened. He told her small stories. How Lena painted stars on the kitchen wall when she was 4. How she insisted her toy robot could sing. How she always said she would fly a ship one day. Liara listened closely, smiling more than once. Each story felt like a warm spark, tiny but bright. For the first time in a long time, she felt alive. And for the first birthday in years, she wasn't alone. The next morning, Rowan returned to the palace with a small tool bag and a quiet hope that the Empress would allow him inside again. He did not expect anything more than a simple greeting. After all, she was a dragon Empress, the ruler of the Helion Empire. He was only a mechanic who fixed broken machines. But when he reached the balcony where they had spoken yesterday, he saw Liara already waiting for him. She sat in her silver wheelchair, hands resting gently on its sides, watching the sunrise with calm eyes. When she saw him, she gave a soft smile. "Good morning, Rowan." Rowan felt strangely honored. "Good morning, Your Majesty." "You may call me Liara," she said quietly. He froze, unsure if he heard her correctly. No one in the Empire called her by her name alone, not even senators. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Yesterday it felt good to speak like a normal person. Rowan nodded, touched. Then, "Good morning, Liara." Her eyes warmed. He stepped closer and looked at the chair. Up close, it looked more complex than anything he had seen on Helion. The frame was smooth and bright, with faint glowing patterns hidden under the metal surface. It wasn't just a chair. It was a machine with secrets. "Liara," he said carefully, "may I examine the chair? I think something inside it might be causing your pain." Liara grew still. No one had ever asked to touch her chair. Many believed it was sacred, a symbol of the Empress's power. But she had lived in it for years, and she knew something was wrong deep inside its core, something that made her weaker each month. She gave a small nod. "You may." Rowan knelt beside the chair and opened one of the lower panels. Inside was a cluster of glowing wires, but they were dim and cracked at the edges. Some looked like they hadn't been replaced in decades. He frowned. "How long have you had this chair?" he asked. "Since I was 17, she said. "It was built for me when my body began to fail. The engineers said it would support my strength." "It did," Rowan said softly. "But now it's hurting you." Liara looked down. "I thought so." Rowan reached deeper, feeling along the wires. Then his hand brushed against something small, something warm. He pulled out gently. It was a tiny crystal core, glowing faintly like a dying ember. "What is that?" she asked. Rowan shook his head. "This is more advanced than anything I've ever seen. This isn't just a power core. I think it's connected to you." Liara's breath caught. "Connected? In what way?" He placed the core in his palm and showed her the faint pulse inside it. "Your chair monitors your body. It adapts to your needs. But this core, it's meant to read your energy, like it's trying to match your life force." Liara stared at the little crystal. "But why would it hurt me?" Rowan swallowed. "Because it's too old. It's failing. When it fails, it drains instead of supports." Liara blinked slowly. "So it is taking my strength." "Yes," he whispered. She looked away, her voice soft. "This chair saved me once, but now it is keeping me trapped." Rowan felt a weight inside his chest. He wanted to help her, but he also knew the palace engineers might not allow him near this level of technology. He was only a level 6 mechanic. Liara seemed to read his thoughts. "Can you repair it?" "I think so," Rowan said. "But I would need time, and I would need to understand more of it." Liara nodded. "Then you may work on it." Rowan blinked. He hadn't expected that answer. "You trust me?" he asked quietly. She looked into his eyes, and her gaze held no distance, no coldness, only honesty. "You spoke to me like a person. You did not fear me. You did not flatter me. You cared. That is enough." Rowan's chest felt warm. "Then I'll do everything I can." He continued examining the chair. As he worked, Liara watched him. "What is it like?" she asked suddenly. "Being a mechanic?" He smiled slightly. "Busy. Messy. Tools everywhere. But it feels good. Machines are honest. If something is wrong, they show it. And when you fix it, they work again. She nodded thoughtfully. I wish people were like that. Rowan glanced at her. People break too, just in different ways. She lowered her eyes. I am broken, Rowan. He shook his head. You're not broken. You're just tired. And your chair has been hurting you for years. Anyone would feel weak. Liara did not argue. Instead, she sat quietly as he worked, her eyes soft and thoughtful. Finally, Rowan closed the panel and wiped his hands on his cloth. I can stabilize the damage for now, but the core needs to be replaced soon, or your strength will continue to fade. Liara nodded. Then we will replace it. Rowan smiled. We will. For the first time in years, Liara felt hope, and for the first time in his life, Rowan realized he wasn't just repairing a machine. He was helping someone who had forgotten what it felt like to be cared for. Rowan returned on the third morning with new tools, new ideas, and a quiet determination. He had spent the whole night studying the strange crystal core from Liara's chair. He didn't sleep much, but he didn't care. Something inside him refused to rest until he found a solution. When he entered the palace garden, Liara was already waiting for him under the shade of a tall silver tree. She looked stronger today, even though Rowan had only made temporary repairs. Maybe it was the sunlight, or maybe it was the hope she finally allowed herself to feel. You came early, she said, her voice calm. I want to finish what I started, Rowan replied, and I think I discovered something. Liara watched him with curiosity as he sat beside her chair and opened the side panel again. He placed the old crystal core in front of her. It looked dimmer than before. I connected this to the scanner last night, Rowan explained. I wanted to understand how it worked. And then something strange happened. Strange? Liara asked. He nodded. A signal came from it. Liara frowned slightly. A signal? From a dying core? Yes. Very weak. Almost gone. But it wasn't random. It was a message. Liara's breath caught. A message? For whom? Rowan looked into her eyes. For you. Liara slowly lowered her gaze to the crystal. What did it say? It was short, Rowan said. Only a few broken lines. But I think it was part of the chair's original programming. It called you something. Liara's voice softened. What did it call me? Rowan hesitated. It called you Crown of Fire. Liara stared at him, her expression unreadable. That title had not been spoken since the days when her ancestors fought to unite the star systems. It was a title given only to rulers with power beyond normal humans. Power she no longer had. How could the chair know that name? She whispered. Rowan shook his head. I think the chair was never just a chair. It was built for someone special. It was meant to protect you, not trap you. Liara closed her eyes, letting the truth settle inside her. All her life, she believed the chair was a reminder of her weakness. But what if it wasn't? What if it had been her guardian instead? Rowan continued working, adjusting the wires and checking the inner structure. Liara watched him, thinking deeply. Rowan, she said quietly, why did the signal return now, after so many years? Because I touched the core, Rowan said softly. I repaired the connection for a moment, and the chair remembered what it was created to do. Liara looked at him with wide eyes. Then we must repair it fully. Yes, Rowan said, but we need a new core. The old one can't be saved. Liara nodded. There is a vault beneath the palace. It holds relics from ancient times. Some might have the energy you need. Rowan blinked. You mean you'll take me to the vault? I will, she said. She pressed a button on the side of her chair, and a quiet hum filled the air. A small flying drone appeared from behind one of the trees and hovered in front of her. Guide us to the Vault of Embers, she commanded. The drone blinked green and started forward. Rowan followed, pushing Liara's chair gently over the smooth garden paths. They entered a long hallway, shielded with gold and black panels. 2 royal guards stepped aside, recognizing her Empress, but giving confused glances at Rowan. Liara said nothing. Her face was calm and steady. They reached an elevator that descended deep under the palace. The walls were black stone, carved with glowing lines like threads of fire. Rowan stared around him in awe. This place is older than the Empire, Liara said softly. Only my family could enter it. The elevator stopped, and the doors opened to a quiet chamber filled with floating lights. Strange devices rested on ancient tables. Some looked like metal flowers. Others looked like stars frozen in glass. Rowan moved slowly, afraid to touch anything. Liara pointed to a small shelf at the far end. The cores are kept there. Rowan approached it and saw several crystal cores of different shapes. Only one of them glowed softly, with a warm red light. He picked it up gently. This one, it feels alive. Liara nodded. That is the Ember Core. It was created for my family centuries ago. It holds a strong and steady energy. Rowan brought it back to her chair and knelt beside her. May I? You may? He removed the old core and placed a new one inside. The moment he connected it, the chair hummed. The glowing patterns on its frame brightened, rising like soft flames. A warm breeze moved through the chamber, even though there was no wind. Liara gasped quietly. She felt something she had not felt in years, strength returning to her limbs. Her fingers moved more easily. Her chest felt lighter. Rowan, she whispered, I can breathe better. Rowan smiled softly. The chair was never meant to keep you weak. It was waiting for the right core to help you. The lights around them flickered, as if reacting to her awakening energy. Then, somewhere in the distance, a deeper vibration echoed to the chamber, long, low, and powerful. Liara stiffened. Rowan looked around. What was that? He asked. Liara stared upward. That, she said, voice steady but shocked, was a return of the signal of the Empress. What does it mean? Rowan whispered. Liara looked at him, eyes bright with fire. It means the Empire has sensed that its true Empress has awakened again. The palace felt different the next morning. Lights were brighter. The air felt warm. The halls that had been silent for years now hummed softly with life, as if the building itself knew something important had returned. Rowan walked through the long corridors with careful steps, carrying his tool bag even though he wasn't sure he needed it today. When he reached the garden, he saw Liara already there. She sat in her chair, but it wasn't the same weak and fading machine from before. The ember core glowed gently under the silver light of the trees, and the patterns along the chair's frame moved like living fire. Liara looked stronger than ever. Not perfect, not fully healed, but present, awake, and steady. You look different today, Rowan said quietly. Liara smiled, a soft smile that carried many years of silence behind it. I feel different. Rowan sat beside her. Did the signal return again? Yes, she said. Many times. Last night, I received 9 separate pulses from 9 different worlds. They were waiting for a sign, and they believe they have seen it. Rowan looked surprised. They think you're ready to lead again? Liara sighed, her eyes drifting toward the sky. They think the Empress has awakened. They expect the old me, the strong warrior, the ruler who could stand without pain, fight without fear, and speak with power. She lowered her gaze. But that woman is gone. Rowan shook his head slowly. Maybe they don't want the old you. Liara turned to him. Then what do they want? Hope, Rowan said. And sometimes hope comes from someone who chooses to rise, even after everything tries to push them down. Liara listened quietly. His words were simple, but they were true. She had felt broken for so long that she forgot people might admire her for surviving, not for being perfect. Before she could answer, a soft sound echoed across the garden, like a bell made of light. A small drone descended, carrying a message disc. It hovered in front of Liara. For the Empress of the Ember Line, the drone announced. Liara took the disc. As soon as she touched it, a hologram appeared in the air. A tall woman with silver markings on her arm stood inside the glowing light. Empress Liara, the woman said, our systems have detected your return. The Ember Beacon has awakened for the first time in years. We request your presence at the Council of Stars. The hologram flickered and vanished. Rowan looked at Liara. That sounds important. It is, Liara said, but I cannot attend like this. I do not have the strength to stand before them. They will not accept a weakened Empress. Rowan leaned forward. Then don't go as an Empress. Liara blinked. What do you mean? Go as yourself, Rowan said. As Liara, not the warrior, not the symbol. Just you. Liara stared at him, unsure what to say. No one had spoken to her like that in years. No one had asked her to be anything except powerful. Rowan stood up and walked around her chair. He checked the new core, made sure the connections were strong, and adjusted the stabilizers. You're not a machine, he said gently. So you don't need to work like one. You just need to show them who you are. Liara took a long breath. And who am I, Rowan? He smiled. Someone who hasn't given up. Someone who still listens. Someone who helped a simple mechanic feel useful again. Liara felt a strange warmth in her chest. It wasn't the Ember Core. It was something else. Something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. Courage. Then I will go, she said softly. Rowan looked relieved. Good. I'll prepare the chair for travel. Later that afternoon, the palace courtyard filled with soft golden glow as Liara's chair activated its travel mode. Small thrusters lifted it slightly from the ground, making it lighter and easier to move. Rowan stood beside her, ready to help. She looked at him. Will you come with me? Rowan hesitated. Me? I'm just a mechanic. Exactly, Liara said. You see things others don't. He nodded slowly. Then yes, I'll go. They traveled to the Council of Stars, a large dome-shaped building on the far side of the capital. When they entered, dozens of ambassadors turned toward them. Some whispered. Some stared in shock. No one expected their Empress to arrive with a human mechanic by her side. Liara did not hide her chair. She did not hide her weakness. She moved forward with calm strength, letting the Ember Core guide her. One ambassador stepped forward. Empress, he said, bowing. We thought you were lost. I was, she answered. But I am here now, and I will lead again, not as the ruler you remember, but as the person I have become. The room fell silent. Her voice was steady and warm. Our future will not be built by old power. It will be built by new hope, by every species, every world, every person who chooses to stand together. Rowan watched her, amazed by her courage. Liara raised her hand slightly. And this human helped me remember that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it knocks on your door and says, you shouldn't be alone today. The ambassadors bowed their heads in respect. The council accepted her return, not because she was the Empress of Fire, but because she was human enough to rise again. And in that moment, the galaxy learned something new. Humans didn't win because they were strong. They won because they cared.